All right, so today we're going to talk about our wonderfully fake elections and all of the revelations that are coming out about how fake our elections are. And I want to preface this by saying none of this has to be upsetting. We are in a fake election process right now. Donald Trump won in 2020 by a lot. He has all the evidence of that. He has had it the whole time. He says it repeatedly. He never conceded, and 2020 election cases continue on to this day. And we must demand accountability for the 2020 election. People did not understand the problem in 2020, despite Donald Trump telling us throughout the lead up to that election period that our elections were a problem. Many people, including myself, didn't understand the scale of the problem. And over the course of the last nearly 4 years now, we have come to understand that problem much better, primarily as the result of all the hard work of election integrity people around the country who have tried to get to the bottom of exactly what is wrong with our elections. And people have tried to create solutions and fix that problem within the framework of the governments currently in place, the governments that are currently in place due to rigged elections. I'm not going to say every politician is illegitimately sat, but I think it makes sense to assume that until it is proven otherwise beyond a shadow of a doubt. Since absolutely none of them can do that, we should assume they are all illegitimate, to then believe that the system that creates the problem they benefit from is going to be fixed from within that system seems to be wishful thinking. But again, this is not a reason to be depressed. There are other ways to fix problems. Even an illegitimate government has to carry the illusion of legitimacy. And when the illusion of legitimacy is gone, that government can't actually do anything unless it has the ability to leverage state violence against the people. The problem is, if a vast majority of people oppose them, then using state violence against dissenters is an immediate and obvious sign of an illegitimate authoritarian government, thus making the narrative problem even worse. And we've been shown that by this current regime in a variety of ways, much of it narrative. Now, it's certainly not all narrative. I have friends who have been affected by the government's overreach, their political persecutions and prosecutions, the censorship, the debanking. This government has no problem using force to achieve its political ends, but there is a point at which the people understand that, and then the regime's problem grows worse while reducing the amount of that the people will take the next time they try it. Now, I don't believe Joe and Kamala have any power to wield state violence against the people. They might have a federal law enforcement agency here or there. They might have governors within states and corrupted state organizations that they can leverage to go after people, but they don't seem to have a lot of ability to get that done. And as we've discussed many times, their power to use the media to coerce compliance has been greatly reduced, and beyond some level of control over the money and some ability to restrict access to the material aspects of their system, they don't have a whole lot of tools left. And all of that requires them having the illusion of legitimacy. They've already lost the illusion of legitimacy. People don't even believe Joe Biden is actually the president anymore. They know for certain that he's not actually wielding the power of his office unless something crazy happens in the next 24 hours. Tomorrow's episode will be about foreign policy. We have Narendra Modi from India coming to America to meet Donald Trump. We have Volodymyr Zelensky, the comedic actor in Ukraine, coming to America to meet Donald Trump. Now, both are going to show up and glad hand with Joe and Kamala and some of their pals at the UN, but then they're going to go meet the president. Not the people the global regime might recognize as the president, their puppets, their characters that they present to the world, but the man with the actual power bestowed upon him by the will of the people. I have said many times, if elections are fake, if we cannot trust that our votes are going to be counted, one person, one vote, that vote will definitely count. The reported results accurately reflect the will and intent of the American voter. If the elections are rigged and stolen, then what we have is a battle of narratives, because the part that plays out after that stolen election will be a battle of narratives to win over the collective mind in the court of public opinion. That is what is going to ultimately matter. And I would argue that we already reached that point years ago, but the court of public opinion was not prepared to properly decide at that point in the information war. So this period has gone on. And for the period to stop, that means people are going to have to wake up about their reality and demand better in order to get better. Donald Trump said he was returning power back to the people, and the people are promptly choosing to give it right back to the regime because that's what they're used to. And that's where the treats come from. That's where the rewards come from. It's comfortable and easy that way. And I totally get it. It would be much better if everything could be comfortable and easy, and we could also get our way all the time in fulfilling and moral ways. But that's not how the world works. If elections are fake, then an election is a battle of narratives. And if elections are real, meaning that all the votes are cast properly and counted accurately, the reported results accurately reflect the will and intent of the voters, then they are the product of winning a battle of narratives. So the important thing is the battle of narratives. And when Donald Trump says too big to rig, I suspect what he is referring to is that battle of narratives. Make it absolutely clear to everyone in the country, Donald Trump has a massive majority. Donald Trump had a massive majority in 2020, and it has grown since then. We are not waiting on a majority of people to approve of Donald Trump. We have had that for years now. We are waiting on a critical mass of people to understand that serious changes absolutely must be made. And that will require being honest about the problem. And that can happen now through rational conversations, applying logic, figuring out how to proceed. Or it can happen through everyone getting the hose again. And maybe I'm crazy, but I think it's better if everyone doesn't get the hose again. I think it's better to learn the lesson, understand the possibilities, and then begin thinking further ahead, already prepared to handle the possibilities of whatever might happen on the 5th of November, if indeed anything at all happens. There still seems to be a strong chance that we won't have a fake election in a month and a half because it will have been canceled. And at the point that it's canceled, people might then realize, hopefully, that a real election was never happening to begin with. So let's focus in on where the narrative is relative to the legitimacy of our elections. And I would suggest that people are learning very quickly that our elections are not legitimate. They're being told that the election coming up is riddled with all sorts of fraud and malfeasance, all kinds of problems, both built into the system and influenced from outside, from domestic actors to foreign actors, from politicians and major political organizations to people who are, quote unquote, helping out on the ground. There is a reason these stories are coming out, and it's beyond just they're true. And even if you don't buy that, even if you think there's no reason these stories are coming out, they're just being reported spontaneously when they happen. These events occur, reporters find out about them, they write stories, they publish those stories. Even if that's how you believe things operate, we cannot deny what the effect of all these stories will be. And the effect of all these stories will be that more people understand something is seriously wrong with our elections. There are stories nearly every day. Some make it into the mainstream media, some of them don't. But the number of stories in the mainstream media about widespread election fraud continues to grow. So even people who might deny that our elections have problems, who might think that our elections are legitimate and you must say nice things about our elections to protect the illusion of legitimacy, even those statists who are protecting the regime in every way they can, know that these stories are out there. They'll see these headlines in their social media. They can deny it, but it's in their head. They are aware this conversation is taking place in public. The ratio of election trusters to election deniers is moving greatly in our favor. So if we are trying to win a battle of narratives over elections, that's what's happening. And that's going to continue to happen. And if it happens too much, they might try to cancel the whole thing, and I think it might happen too much. The point is winning the battle of narratives and making the battle of narratives too big to rig, because we can't depend on the legitimacy of the election system. When the battle of narratives is too big to rig, it doesn't matter at all whether the election system is legitimate, because there is no way that they can create the illusion of legitimacy and sell it to anyone.
In my mind, that's the end game.
If you're listening for free and would like to support the show, the best way to do that is by signing up for a paid subscription at imyourmoderator.substack.com. You can find the info stream over on Telegram at t.me/veryreasonable. The merch site is cancelcouture.com, and for all my other links, you can visit linktree.com/imyourmoderator. And I'll see you soon, down on the range.